I think it opens people's eyes to take games seriously. It's always been seen as a sort of fluffy industry run by lovers that has no real credibility. It's a trivial industry, and yet the games industry is worth $50 billion a year in software sales alone. That's going to rise to $90 billion by 2015. It's an area that we happen to be very good at. It's that fusion of creativity and technology creates a game. So I think it'd be great if people understand the career opportunities, turn that fun of playing games into a career of making them.
A lot of us have been behind changing the IT curriculum. You know, the whole issue with how dull ICT is something that is a travesty that hopefully is being reversed as we speak. The Department for Education have been great in acknowledging the problem and going through a transition where the ICT teachers don't get made redundant but get retrained to teach computer science. I think that's great, and the more people that learn, whether it's through Raspebrry Pi or any other route, is fantastic. And we're getting somewhere. You know, this year, the first year of Raspebrry Pi, we've only just had its first birthday. We've sold over 1 million units, and the way I see that is that's potentially 1 million kids that have been helped, and that's fantastic. All sorts of things like the very generous thing that Notch did, Marcus Persson, putting Minecraft onto it, are all drivers for kids to see it's a desirable device. And to have that first step into learning, you know, and the sort of things BAFTA does with Dare to be Digital and so many other things, you know, that the industry is really trying to help kids, mainly because at the back of us we're all a little bit guilty that we had a great opportunity back in the 80s, which doesn't exist in the same way now. So we're trying to recreate something similar, and it does seem to be working.
Britain's creativity is celebrated around the world. Look at our film, our fashion, our TV, our design, our architecture, our comedy, and of course our games. There's something uniquely wonderful about British creativity, and that manifests itself in games. So it's no surprise that some of the biggest blockbusters around the world have been created in the UK. What we've not been particularly good at is retaining ownership of that intellectual property, having to give it away in return for project finance. And whilst we get the BAFTAs and the Oscars, the money is often being banked overseas. So what I like to see is a more entrepreneurial approach to games making, and a more investor-friendly approach to the industry. And that's by raising the profile in a positive sense. So parents, teachers, guardians understand the value of the industry, as do investors, and make sure that we scale those businesses and retain the intellectual property in the UK.